Khnum, the divine potter of ancient Egypt. Khnum, an ancient Egyptian deity, is one of the most intriguing figures in the pantheon of gods. He is primarily recognized as the god of creation, specifically credited with the modeling of human bodies on his potter's wheel. This detailed exploration will delve into various aspects of Khnum, including his origins, mythological significance, worship practices, and his depiction in art and literature. The aim is to present a comprehensive understanding of Khnum's role in ancient Egyptian religion and society. Origins and historical context. Khnum's origins can be traced back to the early dynastic period of Egypt, around 3000 BCE. His worship persisted through the Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, and New Kingdom, lasting well into the Ptolemaic and Roman periods. Initially, Khnum was a local deity associated with the region of Elephantine, an island near the first cataract of the Nile. His prominence grew as the concept of creation evolved in Egyptian mythology. The role of Khnum in creation myths. In Egyptian mythology, creation was a complex process often involving multiple deities. Khnum was unique in his role as the divine potter. He was believed to fashion the bodies of humans and gods alike from clay on his potter's wheel. This symbolic act of creation was not just physical but also imbued with a spiritual dimension, as Khnum was thought to mold the ka, or life force, of each individual. The most prominent creation myth involving Khnum is the one where he molds humans from the silt of the Nile. According to this myth, Khnum crafted the bodies of children and placed them in their mothers' wombs. This intimate act of creation underscored the Egyptians' belief in the divine origin of life and the god's crucial role in maintaining the balance of existence. Attributes and symbolism. Khnum is typically depicted as a ram-headed god, an iconography that signifies fertility, strength, and creative power. The ram was an animal sacred to Khnum, symbolizing his ability to generate life. He is often shown seated at a potter's wheel, fashioning human figures from clay. This imagery is potent, illustrating his dual role as both creator and sustainer of life. Khnum's connection to water, particularly the Nile, is another critical aspect of his symbolism. The Nile's annual flooding was vital for agriculture, depositing rich silt onto the land, which was essential for growing crops. As the god of the Nile's source, Khnum was seen as a provider of life-giving waters, further enhancing his status as a creator deity. Worship and cult centers. Khnum's worship was centered primarily in the region of Elephantine, where his main temple was located. This temple complex was a significant religious site, reflecting the god's importance. Pilgrims and worshippers from across Egypt would come to pay homage, seeking Khnum's blessings for fertility and protection. In addition to Elephantine, Khnum was worshipped at Esna, where a grand temple was dedicated to him during the Ptolemaic and Roman periods. The Temple of Esna features numerous inscriptions and reliefs depicting Khnum's creative acts, emphasizing his role in the divine order. These temples were not only places of worship but also centers of learning, where priests and scribes would study and record the religious texts and rituals associated with Khnum. Rituals and offerings. Rituals dedicated to Khnum were elaborate, reflecting his significance in the Egyptian religious landscape. Daily offerings included food, drink, and incense, presented to the deity to honor him and seek his favor. Special festivals and ceremonies were also held, particularly during the annual flooding of the Nile, a time when Khnum's life-giving powers were especially celebrated. One of the most notable rituals was the creation of clay figures by the priests, symbolizing Khnum's act of creating life. These figures were often buried in sacred sites or placed in temples as votive offerings. The ritualistic molding of clay served as a tangible connection between the worshippers and the divine act of creation. Khnum in art and literature. Khnum's presence in ancient Egyptian art and literature is extensive. He is frequently depicted in temple reliefs, tomb paintings, and various forms of statuary. These artistic representations often show him seated at his potter's wheel, a serene and focused expression on his face as he molds the forms of humans and gods. Literary texts, including hymns and prayers, also celebrate Khnum's creative powers. One of the most famous examples is the Hymn to Khnum, found in the Temple of Esna, which extols the god's role in forming all living beings and ensuring the proper functioning of the natural world. This hymn highlights Khnum's integral role in the cosmic order, portraying him as a benevolent and omnipotent creator. Comparative analysis with other creation deities. While Khnum is a unique figure in Egyptian mythology, his role as a creator can be compared with other deities across different cultures. In Mesopotamian mythology, for instance, the god Enki, or Ea, shares similarities with Khnum, particularly in his association with water and creation. Both gods are seen as life-givers and sustainers, responsible for the well-being of humanity. In Greek mythology, the god Hephaestus can be seen as a parallel to Khnum in terms of craftsmanship and creation. Hephaestus, the god of blacksmiths and artisans, was believed to forge not only weapons and armor, but also to create beautiful works of art and living beings, similar to Khnum's potter's wheel. Theological significance. The theological significance of Khnum lies in his role as a mediator between the divine and the mortal. By creating human bodies and infusing them with the Ka, Khnum bridged the gap between the physical and spiritual realms. This act of creation was seen as a sacred duty, reinforcing the idea that life itself was a divine gift. Khnum's connection to the Nile further cemented his importance. The river was the lifeblood of Egypt, and by controlling its source, Khnum was viewed as a sustainer of life. This dual role as creator and sustainer made Khnum a central figure in Egyptian cosmology and religion. Evolution of Khnum's worship. Over the millennia, the worship of Khnum evolved, reflecting changes in religious practices and beliefs. During the New Kingdom, Khnum became associated with other deities, such as Ra and Osiris, in the complex web of Egyptian theology. This syncretism allowed Khnum's worship to adapt and remain relevant through different periods of Egyptian history. In the later periods, particularly during the Greco-Roman era, Khnum's image and attributes were sometimes merged with those of Greek and Roman gods. This blending of religious traditions helped preserve Khnum's legacy, ensuring his continued veneration even as the cultural and political landscape of Egypt changed. Khnum in modern interpretations. Today, Khnum's legacy continues to fascinate scholars, historians, and enthusiasts of ancient Egyptian culture. Modern interpretations of Khnum often explore his role in the broader context of creation myths and religious practices. His depiction as a potter god resonates with contemporary audiences, symbolizing creativity, craftsmanship, and the intimate connection between the divine and the human. Khnum's influence can also be seen in modern artistic representations, where his image is used to evoke themes of creation and life. These contemporary depictions often draw on traditional iconography while incorporating modern artistic techniques, creating a bridge between the ancient and the present. Khnum's role in medicine and healing. Ancient Egyptian medicine often intertwined with religious beliefs. Khnum, as the creator of the human body, was naturally associated with health and healing. Physicians and healers would invoke Khnum's blessings to ensure the efficacy of their treatments. Medical texts and practices often included prayers and rituals dedicated to Khnum, seeking his intervention to restore health and vitality. Khnum's role in medicine is further exemplified in the myth, where he repairs the broken body of Osiris. In this myth, Khnum is depicted as a skilled healer, using his potter's wheel to mend and restore Osiris's body parts. This mythological narrative reinforced Khnum's association with the regenerative and healing powers, making him a deity of great importance in the medical practices of ancient Egypt. Khnum's relationships with other deities. Khnum's relationships with other deities provide a richer understanding of his role in the Egyptian pantheon. He is often linked with the goddess Satis, his consort, and Anuket, the goddess of the Nile. Together, they form a divine triad that emphasizes the importance of the Nile and its resources. This triad was worshipped particularly in the region of Elephantine, where their combined influence was seen as crucial for the prosperity and fertility of the land. Satis, often depicted with a crown of antelope horns, was believed to control the floodwaters of the Nile, ensuring the annual inundation that brought fertile silt to the farmlands. Anuket, depicted with a tall reed crown, was associated with the nourishing aspects of the river, providing sustenance and life to the people of Egypt. Khnum, as the creator and potter, was seen as the divine force that shaped and nurtured life, working in harmony with Satis and Anuket to maintain the balance of the natural world. Khnum in funerary texts and practices. Khnum's creative role extended into the afterlife, highlighting the cyclical nature of creation and rebirth in Egyptian belief. Funerary texts often depicted Khnum assisting in the rebirth of the deceased, ensuring their safe passage into the afterlife. This aspect of Khnum's role was crucial in the Egyptian conception of the afterlife, where the journey of the soul required divine assistance and protection. The coffin texts and the Book of the Dead, two significant funerary texts, include references to Khnum's role in the resurrection of the deceased. In these texts, Khnum is invoked to help restore the physical body and the ka, allowing the deceased to enter the afterlife with all the necessary attributes for a successful journey. This belief underscored the importance of Khnum not only in the creation of life, but also in the continuation of life beyond death. Archaeological discoveries related to Khnum. Recent archaeological findings continue to shed light on Khnum's worship and influence. Discoveries of temples, artifacts, and inscriptions provide tangible evidence of his enduring veneration. Excavations at Elephantine and Esna have uncovered significant temple complexes dedicated to Khnum, revealing the architectural grandeur and religious significance of these sites. Inscriptions and reliefs found in these temples depict various aspects of Khnum's mythology, including his role in creation and his interactions with other deities. These discoveries have helped scholars better understand the rituals and ceremonies associated with Khnum, offering insights into the daily lives and spiritual practices of the ancient Egyptians. Khnum's influence on art and architecture. The architectural design of temples dedicated to Khnum, along with the artistic representations within, offers a deeper understanding of how his worship was integrated into the physical landscape of ancient Egypt. The temples of Khnum were often adorned with elaborate reliefs and sculptures, depicting scenes of creation and divine acts performed by the god. The temple at Esna, in particular, stands out for its well-preserved reliefs and inscriptions. The temple's walls are covered with intricate carvings that illustrate Khnum's creative process, showing him at the potter's wheel, shaping human figures and bestowing life upon them. These artistic representations served not only as religious symbols, but also as educational tools, teaching worshippers about the divine acts of Khnum and the importance of creation in their spiritual lives. Conclusion. Khnum, the god of creation and the potter of human bodies, holds a distinctive place in ancient Egyptian mythology. His role as the divine craftsman who molds human bodies on his potters will earn the Egyptians profound reverence for life and creation. Through his connection to the Nile, Khnum symbolized fertility, sustenance, and the eternal cycle of life. The worship of Khnum, centered in Elephantine and Esna, reflects the deep-seated belief in his creative powers and his essential role in the cosmic order. His depiction in art and literature, alongside rituals and offerings, highlights the enduring significance of Khnum in the spiritual life of ancient Egypt. As we continue to explore and understand the complexities of ancient Egyptian religion, Khnum stands out as a powerful symbol of creation and the intricate relationship between the divine and the human. His legacy, preserved through millennia of worship and cultural transmission, continues to inspire and captivate us today. Khnum's role in medicine, his relationships with other deities, his presence in funerary practices, and his influence on art and architecture all contribute to a richer and more comprehensive understanding of this fascinating deity. His enduring significance in the cultural and religious landscape of ancient Egypt speaks to the profound impact of his creative powers and the timeless appeal of his mythological narrative.